If it's conservative.
If you're looking for something liberal
and realistic, this is the place to be.
Hello, and welcome back to our podcast with no name. We have been going through a series of unequal yoking, and we've been discussing the factors that affect different or that contribute to unequal yoking in any kind of relationship. It could be business, it could be marriage, it could be a friendship even. And in the last episode, we discussed your past and your class/finances, whether they affect whether they contribute to some form of unequal yoking. To my left, we have Paida. To my right, immediate right, we have Natasha, and to my far right, we have Paul. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So we want to discuss unequal yoking being contributed to by religion and your culture. All right. We want to delve into that and see if it actually is a form of unequal yoking. So let's start with culture, and then we go on to religion. All right. Maybe you can open up for us.
I'm just thinking that looking at culture, assuming you come from Mashingo, mm-hmm. and in Mashingo there are certain expectations for umakoti that you are supposed to, like, you're doing chirora and stuff, you're supposed to kneel, you're supposed to cover your head, you're supposed to cover your shoulders, wear a zambia, especially when you're going to your in-laws and stuff. And imagine you are coming from a culture where that really doesn't matter. Simple things like pamsoroi, I've been to Blawayo, and to them they don't know that word. And when they are given food, they eat the food. And we have someone who's coming from Mashingo, and for them, if you just eat their food without saying pamsoroi, you have insulted them in some way. Not only that, if my pot is on the stove and I'm cooking, you just don't go and open the food and check without consulting me, the owner of the pot. So such things, they are simple things, but then someone gets offended by such things because of their culture.
Okay. Natasha?
I wanted to say on culture, if maybe from where I come from, if you're a Makwati, you have to, if you have got visitors, or before you greet your mother-in-law, first thing when you get there, you should give her a cup of water so that she drinks, and then you can say your greetings. And even if there are visitors who are passing by, Makwati should always give them water, and you kneel, and then you give them water, each of them a cup of water, so that they drink, and then you greet them. So if you're coming from Blawayo, you are Ndebele, and you are supposed to practice that culture, I think you feel offended.
But aren't these things that people can learn? I want Paul to give his remarks, but if you love someone, these are things you can actually learn and understand and buy in. Let's give Paul, and then we'll come back.
Okay, actually, I wanted to say exactly what you're saying. Okay, but culture is important. Cultures are different, and culture is just things that are taught, where someone is taught when they're young. So you can be Shona and you grow up in Ndebele, and you grow up with Ndebele culture, but you're Shona. So it's not something that then can stand in the way to say I can't marry you because you're from a different culture from myself. Because this is the reason why then we say when you're courtship, and when you're doing courtship, it has to be at least a bit, so that at least you can learn. I take you to my Matubelen area, we teach you this is how we do things. If I really love you, I'll teach you. And if you really love me, you will have that teachable spirit. And at the end of the day, you now know what the Ndebelés expect of you, if you're Shona or the other way. And when I marry you, you won't even have a problem because you fit in, because you've learned. But the problem, we do hit and runs. And when you come to Matebele, you don't even know how they even speak. You're shocked. So I don't think culture is something, it's important, but I don't think it's something that we can use as a barrier to marriage.
Okay.
For me, it's a barrier.
It's a barrier.
Yeah, because if my husband and his people or my boyfriend, they believe that when a child is born, they have to tie him with those shigori sheshbagi. You know those shigori? Yeah, around his waist, and they give him charms.
Okay.
Lucky charms. What if they are witchcrafts or something? I won't be comfortable. Yeah. And that's what they practice. They believe he has to have those so that he can.
What are they used for?
For protection or for something. But I'm a Christian. I believe protection comes from God.
I want to add to what Natasha is saying. There's the aspect of the umbilical cord, that thing. That there are people who believe that you can just throw it away, put it in the system and just flush it away. And in certain cultures, that's taboo. They have to take that thing to the raw areas and something like that. So imagine you are married into that family and they actually believe that. And for you to then throw it away, it becomes an issue. Imagine being in that family and it's a constant reminder that you are against our values. You are, because of a simple rotten thing that was supposed to be thrown away. Not only that, there are people who put these things, this Nyora stuff, when you are born, you are supposed to, like for protection and stuff, you have things that they put in your wrist when you are born and you're young, and it's to them, it's important. Not only that, there's someone who went for a funeral and they were the Makotis and stuff, and they were supposed to walk with their knees. And they're carrying this magate, and they have to move with that. You are coming from, remember we talked about class in our previous episode. You are coming from a class where your knees don't do that. You are used to mopping and stuff. But now this culture demands that you kneel for these processes and stuff. Are you willing? Are you now not straining yourself? Yes, you may learn certain things, but are you willing to learn everything?
Okay, I want to hand over to Natasha, but how do these things affect us? Let's say we want to have a business relationship. Do these things affect, or it only affects on the marriage side and
relationship?
I personally feel like on the business side, that's what you do at your own place. As long as you can provide the service that I need, then there's no problem there. Yes, Natasha.
All right. My first comment is on like the relationships that we're talking about. I know of a certain culture whereby when you're married into that family, you have to sleep with your husband's father. So they need to, I think it's for validation or something like that. So how then am I going to learn and accept something like that? To say, and how then do you determine that I'm not going to be able to go back to the father because maybe he's more able-bodied than the son? And then to do with business now, there are some people who think that you're supposed to, let's say you're getting into a partnership with your other partner to engage in business, right? This person now believes to say, before we start our business, whatever we're going to do, we're supposed to go into the mountain maybe for days and all that to dedicate our business to our ancestors. How then are you going to accept something like that, you being a Christian?
Okay.
Okay, I would add to what Natasha said. Not going very far, like in Zim. If you know about mining, right? They usually say that if you've got a gold claim, you don't just start mining there, like people who do mining. So they have to go through chiefs, mashikiro, something like that, so that you can start mining. If you don't do that, whether you pray in the mountains or whatever you're going to do, you're not gonna get anything from there. So there's a strong relationship between business and culture. And also, to add on to that, if you've noticed, we've got people in the business world like the Jews and Caucasians, right? These guys, they don't normally do business with us. We are the product. We are the product to their services and everything. The line of business and everything that they do, money comes from one Jew to another, just circulates around them, and they will not let you in their business cycle. So yeah.
Okay, you mentioned something to do with gold industry, where you find out Zimu and all that, but that has nothing to do with unequal yoking. If I can explain myself, because it's the trade of the game. So in that case, I feel like if you want to go into mining and you know that is what's supposed to do, no matter how much you pray, but if you don't do that, then.
But you're a Christian. You can't go to.
So fine. So we are saying we don't get into such kind of businesses.
I personally believe that it depends with your beliefs. If you believe for you to get something, you need to pira wadzimu. But if you believe that for you to get something, you can actually do the mining in the right way and get something, you will get something. And then you have asked a question to do with the business aspect. I have a friend who works in Abu Dhabi, and at certain times when they are doing Ramadan, you are not allowed to bring your food and eat in public because people everywhere, other people are fasting. So in that aspect, you can't be equally yoked. To you, food is food. If you are fasting, you fast your own way. You can't force us not to eat in public. So it may be an issue to you. Yes, you may be comfortable in saying that I'll eat in their absence, I'll eat in the car, but it depends with the person. Same with mining. I also know a friend who, we are now delving into religion, a person who was asking this question. We are in the transport industry, and I believe in the Sabbath. The person that I'm in partnership with is not a person who believes in the Sabbath. So what do we do with our trucks on the Sabbath?
On the Sabbath, okay. Do they stop functioning? Or do they keep moving?
This person is saying that I'm not a Sabbath keeper, trucks have to move. You are saying I am a Sabbath keeper, trucks have to park at sunset or even before sunset so that the guys will go and prepare for the Sabbath. So in business, how are you going to handle that?
So naturally, you then want to avoid getting into partnerships with people like that because your belief system is bad. You know how this affects us. If you look at the story of that guy Jonah, and Tashish issue, he's the one who caused that ship or that storm to come, right? And he had to come out in the clear and say, look guys, this is only happening because of me. Sometimes things go wrong in our other spheres of life because we are part of those. You get into a business, like you're saying, your trucks, and those trucks are moving on a Sabbath, and because you are part of that business, God holds you accountable to that. So I would say we'd rather stay away from doing business which then goes against your beliefs. Yes.
Okay. On the culture issue, it looks like I think the culture issue it's more binding to people that are into culture. If I'm not into the cultural thing, norms, and my girlfriend is not into the cultural norms, then culture has no binding on us.
Okay.
Yeah, then culture is no binding. But now, you see, the problem now is that when we want to talk about other people's culture, it's as if we don't have culture, we don't have our own culture. But the same thing that are happening in the Swazi culture or the Matebele culture, that's their culture. But the Shonas have their own stuff. So if you're not subscribing, if you're a Shona and you're not subscribing to the Shona culture, then why do you want to make it as if now getting married to a Swazi or Swati, then there's a problem because of their culture, as if you don't have your own culture. You understand?
I think that if you are going to be in a relationship, courtship, and it ends there, then it's fine. But as long as two families are going to come together, if you are going to get into a marriage and two families are coming together, even on the Rora day, there are certain expectations of culture that comes into play. You are married to a Zulu young lady. There are certain things that they expect that they are going to celebrate and commemorate in their culture because families are involved. And imagine, you mentioned Spazi. In Swaziland, they celebrate their virginity in wearing toplesses and stuff. Are you comfortable with me as your girlfriend going for that? For in their family, they actually believe that maybe every year you need to be checked and you need to go and celebrate. You need the certificate of virginity. You as my boyfriend, are you willing for me to be moving topless when everyone is seeing your business?
Yeah, that's why I was saying that's the reason why courtship comes into play. Because when we are courting, you are telling me what happens in your culture. And remember, not everything in culture is bad. That's one thing that we need to be straight up with. Not everything in our culture is bad. Well, that is what maybe...
But are you comfortable with doing that?
Yes. As long as it is not... If I'm a Christian, as long as it does not...
Are you comfortable to marry me, whereby Natasha once said, my father has to first sleep with me in order to see that I'm a virgin. Are you then comfortable to marry me?
This is what I'm saying. If I'm a Christian, if as long as whatever entails in your culture does not go against what God says, then I'm cool with that.
Maybe this is in
the sleeping part. The sleeping part is against God.
Yes, I won't go for it. I want to give you an example. This is in the extreme where you sleep with someone. Now imagine you are supposed to sleep with me, but we need evidence. We need the white cloth. We need the blood, and everyone has to see it. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, I am.
Let's give Kuda a chance to speak.
Okay, I've got a question. Do we still have got a culture as Shona people? That's first, because as it stands right now, we are very, very diluted. And we don't even know where we are standing. If you ask me, Gudi, what's the dressing of the Shonas? What is it? Does anyone knows? We don't know.
Yeah, you know, like if I only started thinking about this when I was asked back then. This lady was asking me, so do you want to be called by your daughter when I give you your food? Do you want me to kneel in front of you? I'm like, but no, I don't. It doesn't matter to me, you know. Like, do you want to be masquerade? Say, Daddy, you know. Do you want your own sofa in the house? Those things used to matter. Like, I know when you visit certain homes, you know, and that sofa, it's normally on its own somewhere. You know, you don't sit there. But I'm asking myself, do I really care about that? But also, it has an element of respect that comes with it.
You may think you don't care, especially with things to do with your totem, until you meet people who make you feel special in using your totem. Just imagine, there's something like in our family gathering, when we are gathered there, our totem is Moyo Signoro, and it's Signoro Prosper, Signoro Anton, Signoro Ning, like it comes with that. And then with the females, it's Vashinjanja Paida, Vashinjana Njining, Vashinjana. It's really nice. It comes out well. You may think you don't like it until someone has to kneel and go and say to you, Maita mofu ye mukono, zwewerera zenda nishikaka. You want to get it's really nice. Especially when it is said in the right way and someone is appreciating.
I like what she said, and I'm starting to realize where she's coming from. And for me to marry someone who doesn't understand my culture, someone who just comes with the food and just puts it on the table and expects me to go to the kitchen and wash my own hands, or who gives the maid that responsibility of taking care of me? Let's say we are married, for example. I think I would want to maintain that culture. So for me, it does play a big role, that culture. Yeah. Yes, Paul.
I wanted to say, I like what he said. You know, when I was living in SA, I think it was September, they would have their heritage stuff.
Okay.
And then here comes Zimbabweans. They're dressing like Zulus, they're dressing like Swatis, you know. And they would ask, actually Zimbabweans, what's your dress code? You have no answer to that. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to come to. You know, we were having a discussion with my brother and I was saying, you know what, some of these totems, chichi, they're just there to blind us and to give us pride. Is not basares.
No,
because you know, wait. I haven't finished. You will come in. You know why? Right now, if you go to people that are historians and you sit down with them, you actually realize that you think you are so cool, you're actually not. How sure are you? You're only told. Vamwe vacho vazukuru vakurira kwata sekuru, and then they kwashumba iwo ndivana men or mlambo whatever, then they grow up saying ndrishumba, and they tell their children, hey, listen goes. How sure are you could you rishumba?
But I know in Ndebele they don't value totems.
I'm not coming from a developed point. I'm just saying, how sure are we?
Personally, I'm not sure whether I'm Moyosioro or not, but I like it.
Yes,
when I like old totem. When someone uses my totem and just say, however, with a Christian perspective, it has a sense of idolatry. In how we take it lightly. Yes, there are totems, but however there is an element of kupira sort of, and also if you were to look at how our totems are said, there are certain elements that will show you there is an element of worship which comes with these totems. So they are wrong, but however we just enjoy them.
I'm actually realizing that we can both be Adventists, we can be both Pentecostals, but your culture actually plays a role. I can be Adventist but not care about being called a mofu, but you can be Adventist and you still want. So there's some form of unequal yoking there, and you need to discuss those things as you get into a relationship and before you get into courtship. Yes, Koda.
I think you partly answered what I wanted to say. Because at first we were supposed to understand or not let our culture be diluted, because now we've got a lot of confusion. When I was growing up, I was told Simboti is Mukanya. But when I should like my around 4, it's not Mukanya, it's Mbada. So now I just zero kuti ndiri Mbada, ndiri matema ndiri, I don't know. So kutongo zvipedza anditombodoshedza nezvo. Jungondishedza uchinditi kuda kwashe. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I can relate to what Kuda is saying.
Okay.
My totem, it's Sakupa.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not even common when you tell someone I'm Sakupa, they don't even know what it is.
What is it?
Sakupa, I was told it's mutsine. You know those blackjack.
Blackjack.
Yeah. So we are not allowed to eat mutsine.
Lucky you.
Or moa. You know moa. Whereby those, I think the cows, they eat moa.
Okay.
Yeah. We are not allowed to eat those. So.
But you can eat the cow.
So those vegetables, they are vegetables, but the totems should be animals or parts of the animals. But as we are being told, we are not supposed to eat vegetables. But when I grew up, then that's when my uncle started saying, no, Sakupa eats membwe, not mutsine. So I don't know if I'm Mutsine or it's Membwe, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so in our generation, are we saying that it mustn't? We can't say it's something that's relevant to say culture has a bearing on what on a relationship.
It now depends with the culture. If it's whereby I'm supposed to sleep with my father-in-law so that he tests my virginity before I sleep with my husband.
You have to try it before you buy it.
You see, now that's a problem. But if it's only about totems and different things, I believe someone can just learn and adjust.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it plays a role. The Bible says, can two walk together unless they be agreed? For us to work together, we need to agree even on culture. And not just on these issues of virginity, there is the issue of the children. What are we going to do with our children? Because of the culture. Some cultures entail that when you give birth, you go and stay with your mother or your mother-in-law. Are we subscribing to that, or do we want to have the expense of our child? There are certain cultures which then denote that there's a certain period where you are not supposed to indulge after giving birth. Are we subscribing to that? Or are we as Christians, we have a way of doing our things? And not only that, I'm actually thinking that with the religion aspect also coming into play, at which point do we accept that I'm an Adventist? But remember we talked about the past in the previous episode where we are saying that I have a past. I grew up in the Mapostori perspective. If we are faced with a challenge, Nora, is it dehydration or because of culture there's something that we ought to do to that?
When a child gets sick.
Yes. So the culture still plays a role. What are we agreeing on?
Because you're still going to go back to the Mapostori.
Yes.
So that your child gets healed.
So we may look at the surface when you are in a relationship, but what happens when you get to marriage? What happens in a business? Yes, you have the finances, you have capital for us to start a business. I have the idea, you have the capital, we start the business. But what happens? It's on the Sabbath. What are we going to do with our business? Not only on the Sabbath issues, what are our thoughts concerning even borrowing or lending? What do we do in such aspects? These have to do with our past, our culture, our beliefs, religion, beliefs, certain things to do with that.
Okay.
So it affects.
Yeah, I want to add and say, I think I always like saying this, that I'm black, number one, before I'm an Adventist. Okay, I'm saying I'm black before I'm Adventist.
Okay.
Number one, race. Number two, I'm African before I'm an Adventist.
Okay.
So the culture there. So what you see is as a result of who I am, the cultural norms that I grew up with. So you cannot really, when you become an Adventist, you can't favor yourself wholly from your culture or from your race, because that's who you are. But now there are certain things, because culture is an embodiment of norms, teachings, things like that, and society and things like that. So there are certain things that are plugged into culture, which you can then, when you're an Adventist, well, Adventism is a culture on its own. It's biblically based culture. So there are certain things now that you need to start, plucking out. Out when you're now an Adventist, especially now you're now using the word of God to say, okay, fine, I can pluck that out because now I have Christ. Because, for example, when Jesus came into play from a Jewish home, and he followed all the Jewish practices.
Okay.
Yeah, to the T. Because now as a savior, I want to do these Jewish things. He did that because it's part of culture. But when it comes to culture with Christianity, I think I hold on to Ubuntu.
Okay.
That's for me. I don't care about other things, but Ubuntu is what I esteem high, because for me Ubuntu is biblical.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think from all the past episodes that we've had, and including this one, we can conclude with a few verses, like 2 Corinthians We also have 2 Corinthians 6 verse 14. Don't be unequally yoked with non-believers, right? We also have that says this verse. It says, "You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together." Okay, I think this just says it for us. In conclusion, I think it's plain and simple. While there is culture, while there is religion, there's a past, there is finances. The moment you guys are different in terms of finances, you are an ox and a donkey. The moment you are of two different religions, that's an ox and a donkey. When you have different classes, I believe that's an ox and a donkey as well. And these things have an impact on even the progression, right? The size of the horse, the size of the cow also matters, because this one will get tired faster than the other one. The burden will always be on the taller one every time, right? So it's wise. I believe it's wise for both two people to consider where you are. And it's not, I think it's not a diss, or it's not discrimination to actually say "Rora na matongo," or indulge with those people of similar interests and likes. I don't know if anyone has any last words, because we need to round up. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to say, ask yourself this question. You go to church on Friday, the other person goes to church on Sunday. When you have children, which church are they going to attend to?
Okay, yes, thank you. Any last words?
I wanted to say, when you are going to practice parenting, like when you are going to have children and you want to conduct those evening prayers or those morning prayers, if your husband will be Roman Catholic and you are Seventh-day Adventist, how are you going to do it when you want to conduct those evening prayers? What are you going to do with your kids? What are you going to teach them? Which beliefs are you going to teach them? So it all depends now.
Paul, any last words?
Okay, I'll tell a short story. It's short, told by the late Pastor Chekero, Pastor Cheks. He says there was a lady who was married, an Adventist lady married to a non-Adventist lady. So what would happen was, when they had issues in the home, the Adventist lady would call Pastor Chekero for counseling. So when Pastor Chekero got to the home, the husband would go on his phone and call his own pastor. And then now there was confusion in the house.
Okay.
So just to minimize confusion and issues, I think we should try and marry each other. From the way that I was talking about, we need to be compatible as possible. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus,
All right. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I wanted to say, when it comes to religion, benzere muchechi rinodzorereka. Then when you marry someone who is not of the same beliefs as you believe, he believes you can just hit your wife each time you want her to respect you, and then you have your husband from the same church. Obviously, he believes we can't beat our wives. So I think you should consider religion.
I want to say that you may be of the same church, but be unequally yoked even in the same church. You may be in the same church, but your perspective with something as simple as tongues may be different. What you call tongues and what they call tongues may be different. Imagine you are praying and then this person will ask, so what are you saying now? But you are in prayer. So you may be of the same fold, same church, but still being unequally yoked with that respect.
But it's better
All right.
to be in the same church.
All right. Thank you so much for listening in. This has been the podcast with No Name, where we discuss various matters. Today we were discussing unequal yoking in terms of culture and religion. We do hope that you have enjoyed, and see you in the next episode.